Hey, Chillie with Chillie Cruises here to talk about special needs cruising. So you've decided to go on a cruise and you've got some special needs or a disability of some type, whether fairly simple or something fairly strenuous or serious. And there's ways to make things a lot easier. Uh, this video, I'm going to share what I've done to make my life and my cruises better. And I hope that you'll be able to use that. So, first, let's make one thing perfectly clear. I am not a medical professional. I am not a physical therapist. So, if you're under the care of a doctor or a therapist or any of those, by all means, you do what they say. Uh, I'm just an old country boy that likes to cruise and has some physical problems and how I've gotten around it. But by all means, first and foremost, if you're under the doctor's care, you listen to them and not me. So I have just returned from a cruise on the Norwegian Sun. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you consider me a disability or special needs or not. I'm old, I'm 70. I've had both hips replaced. I have two knees that need replacing. I have back problems and uh, arthritis in my back, so that I have back pains from time to time. I'm overweight, unfortunately, which doesn't help matters any and probably exacerbates the problem. I've also have a lot of problems walking. Now, whether that was from 50 years that I smoked before I finally wised up and got rid of the cigarettes, but if I walk 30 yards, that's a lot, and I'm usually huffing and puffing by then. Um, so I struggle walking. Now, I'm going to share with you the things that I've found, and even I found something new this past week on this cruise, which helped a bunch. But first of all, let's talk about getting from your home to the cruise. Most of you, unless you happen to be in driving distance, and many of us aren't lucky enough to do that, we have to fly. So that means you've got to deal with one or several airports. In my case, I live in right outside of Lynchburg, Virginia, and I flew out of Roanoke because that was the best rate I could get, and flew from Roanoke to Atlanta, and then changed planes in Atlanta to Orlando, and then took the transfers from Orlando over to Port Canaveral. The first thing you do if you've got to fly, when you talk to the airlines, when you go in to check in or whatever, request wheelchair service in the airports. They have the wheelchairs there. They have folks to push wheelchair folks around. If you have any problems with walking at all, request wheelchair service. When I got to Atlanta, they had someone out right at the plane door with the wheelchair to take me from there to the next gate for the next plane. The same thing in Orlando. They took me from the plane right out to get my luggage, and from there right out to where I checked in to go on the transfer bus to Port Canaveral. Use it. Now, let's get over the big hump first. Check your ego at the door. You wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't have some problems or thought you might have some problems on going on a cruise or a trip. Get over the ego end of it. That was very difficult for me. I was thinking, oh, I can still do it. I'm not that bad. I can get by. Don't try to get by. You've paid for your cruise. Do everything you can do to get your money's worth and enjoy it. So get rid of the ego first thing. You've got some problems. We're going to make the best of it and have a good time on the vacation of a lifetime. So by then, now you've gotten to the airports, you've gotten on the bus transfer. There was actually a little bit of a walk to the transfer bus, but not bad. I mean, not enough to do me in, but so 30, 40 yards, something like that. Got on the bus, and it was about an hour bus ride to Port Canaveral. From Port Canaveral, from the bus into the entry part of the terminal, it was another little bit of a walk. And once I got in the cruise terminal itself, I could get wheelchair service in there. So I requested that. There was a nice lady that had the wheelchair, and she took me right up. They take you actually in a special needs line. You check in, you go through all the security and stuff. Of course, you have to do that on the airlines too. You still have to go through security. You have to take your shoes off, and you have to go through with your metal hips like I have. You have to go through the scanning thing, and then they still have to pat you down. But that just happens. But it's the same kind of security to get on a ship. So you go through the security, and the lady with the wheelchair was right there and pushed me on up the ramps onto the ship. Took me right to my cabin. I went right in the cabin and ready to start cruising. Now, that's where my past experience left me. I was in the cabin on the ship ready to go. So from there on, I started walking. So I had to walk up. I want to go to the sail away party. So I put on shorts because, I'm old fashioned. I was traveling in a sport coat and long trousers, and I wanted to put on shorts and a t-shirt. So I did that and went up to the pool deck. I want to know there's a couple bars up there for the sail away party. And so that's a little bit of a walk, It's not killer, but it's a little bit. I was on the kind of the front part of the ship, and everything was kind of around midship, so including the buffet. So I knew, I could easily get to the buffet dining room. There was one of the regular dining rooms that was also midship. There was the other main dining room was on the rear of the ship. But anyway, it takes some walking on a cruise ship. Where I ran into my first real problem with this was on the first day's port of call, which was Key West, and I wanted to go into Key West and take the trolley tour. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to walk around town and shop and go to see something because I just physically can't do that. But I wanted to at least get into Key West and take the trolley tour. So I had to walk on the boat that everybody that was on an excursion had to meet in the showroom, which was at the deck 6 rear. So I had to walk from my room, which was the front of the ship, to deck 6 rear, which was pretty much the length of the ship. I had a little meeting in there, and when we got ready to go, then I had to walk from there all the way back to the front of the ship to go down the gangplank to get off, and then a little bit of a walk over to where we actually got on the trolley. That about did me in because that was way too much of a hike for my old body and old legs and back. And I suffered through that, even though I was on the trolley and didn't have to do any more walking and stayed on the trolley, which brought me right back to the ship. I was done for the day. And I was actually done for the next day, which was a sea day. I struggled even walking just to my meals on the second day. And I had complained about it some online to some of my lovely friends and viewers on this channel. And one of my regular subscribers who's become a really good friend sent me a message, and she says, "Hey, every cruise I go on, I rent a scooter." And she said, "That's just become part of my cruise." Well, I'd seen a couple scooters around. I never even thought about that. So the next morning I went to breakfast because, I knew the service desk wouldn't be open yet. I went to breakfast, and sure enough, there was a lady sitting at the table next to me that had one of the little scooters. And I asked her, I said, "Tell me about the scooter. Well, how do you get it?" She says, "Oh, I made arrangements ahead of time. It was in my room when I got to the ship." I thought, wow, I didn't even know about that. and the company's called Scootaround. Down in the description of the video, I don't think that there might be a link for online. I'll leave a link and a phone number for you to call Scootaround. I don't make any money on this, but man, it's awesome. So anyway, after I talked to her and found out about it, and she said there's one parked in the hallway right outside her room, so she knows they have them on the ship, even though she got hers directly from Scootaround. So I went down to the service desk and I asked them. I said, "Oh yeah, we rent them all the time." I said, I wish I'd known that. So I rented the scooter for the last 3 days of the cruise, and boy, what a difference that made. I was able to comfortably ride the scooter around anywhere on the ship. I could go all the places that I didn't feel like walking to before. I went down to the other dining room, which is at the other end of the ship, to have one of my meals. We went to Nassau, and my initial plan was not even to go ashore in Nassau. I've been there a lot of times, and Nassau was always one of my least favorite ports. But they said, "Oh yeah, you can take the scooter right ashore and ride it around." I said, "Well, okay, well, I'll get off in Nassau then. What the hell?" So I got off in Nassau and I rode around Nassau, rode around the straw market and all the hawkers and stuff that I don't like. They were teasing with me and I was teasing right back. I ended up having more fun motoring around Nassau in the straw market than I've had probably at any port of call I've been through in my 30 years of cruising. It was really, it was quite an experience simply because I had that scooter and I was comfortable and I wasn't hurting and I wasn't struggling to walk. I was getting my money's worth, I'll tell you. The last port of call was at Great Stirrup Key, which is a tender. You have to ride a tender for, I think it's about 45 minutes or something. And I couldn't take the scooter on that. And they said, "Oh, but when you get there, there's wheelchairs." And I'm thinking, a beach and wheelchair? No, I'm not going to do that. So I stayed on the ship for that port, which was fun because I got to do some more of my video work and take pictures and do stuff that I wanted to do that I was more comfortable doing because I was riding around. And I went out and stayed in the hot tub and in the pool and just had a good time. But anyway, the scooter was well worth it. And now on my next cruise, which is going to be 3 or 4 months from now, that will be calculated into the cost of the cruise until the day that I've lost 100 pounds and have 2 new knees. And who knows when that's going to be. But anyway, folks, if you've got problems of any sort, to any degree, take the steps so you can enjoy your travel and enjoy your cruise. I did. It made a huge difference, and I think it will from now on for you too. Again, going home, we did the same thing. I had wheelchair service at the airports. I did have a little problem from the transfer bus into the terminal at Orlando. It was a little bit longer of a walk than I like, and I've already sent them a message requesting that they look at that for an improvement in the future. So anyway, that's it on my special needs cruising video. Regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you'd like to keep up with the latest in cruise ship, ports of call, cruises themselves, my interview shows, which are called Chillie Chats, and then on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a travel and cruise industry news show. Join me for that anytime you want, or after it's posted as a video is on this channel as well. So all you got to do is hit the little subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner. Click on the bell notification, and that'll notify you when I get new videos posted or when I'm going live. And would love to have you in our family of crazy travelers from around the world. For now, this is Chillie, the Fat Travel Guide, hoping all you special needs cruisers have great trips. Later, y'all.